The only way to your destination is to cross a long, frozen lake. It will be a slow trek as you walk across the slippery ice, trying to stay upright. You notice odd shadows underneath you. As you bend down to wipe the ice clear, you see a half-eaten woolly mammoth. How did it get out this far? What could have left such big bite marks? You continue on, making it to about halfway out onto the frozen lake when the ice starts to crack under your feet. You see another large shadow, but this one is moving. It's coming right towards you.
Welcome to another Dragon episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
Hello, I'm Pepperina, and with me, of course, is Casey, and today we're joined by Megan, and this episode's called White Dragons, Killing in Cold Blood.
This episode covers all things white dragons, including layers and regional effects, hordes, minions, eggs, and more.
White dragons are the most primal of dragons. They live for the hunt and run almost purely on instinct. Survival in the harsh Arctic tundras where they live is key. If there was a prepper dragon, this would be it. So if you found yourself in a white dragon's territory, you better have a damn good reason to be there or a good amount of food to offer them. Though they are white dragons, they do have a little bit of color on them in the art. Usually light pinks and blues, almost a like pearly iridescent to them, like a fresh snow sort of glistens. Their face is long and beak-like, and they are covered in spikes. Their treasure is a bit different than most dragons. They don't really care how much things are worth or how fancy it is. They do still follow that, like, they like gems that are the same color as they are, so opals, diamonds, that sort of thing.
I can't imagine how hard it is to find things
to find opals and diamonds
in a snow tundra of some kind in an all white area.
Yes, to find more white things.
Yes.
But they do collect trophies from their hunts. So this includes like skulls, and anything that's interesting that they find on the bodies of their kills. I sort of imagine if you've seen like Aliens versus Predators and the Predator ship that has like all of the skulls and like spines and skeletons of the things they have killed, like that's what their hoard sort of looks like. Since their hoards could be filled with just about anything, I do recommend looking at the table in Fizban's for inspiration. One that I loved was a war horn carved to resemble a dragon's head with a wide open maw, which the dragon calls Little Toot. Just a cute, fun little name.
Because why not?
Because why not? So as wormlings, the white dragons leave their parents' lair almost immediately after hatching. A lot of other ones stick around for a while, but they just fly the nest almost immediately. They survive by scavenging and then learning how to hunt, but most importantly by learning how to quickly flee predators, and this includes other white dragons. As young, they are a bit better at hunting. They still will take offerings from kobolds and humans as a bit of a bribe, though, to keep them from attacking communities. So that's always a good sort of plot hook to think about as DMs, like if you're coming across a young one, what you can offer them to sort of bribe them. As adults, they have created large areas as their hunting grounds and are now the most fierce predator in the area. So they really like level up their hunting game from young to adult. And as ancients, they really only leave their lair to hunt, though they're a bit pickier now with what they're hunting for. They will likely skip over smaller prey in hopes of finding more powerful or magical creatures they can gain a trophy from for their hoard. So if you're looking for like a good example of a white dragon, there is a famous one in Icewind Dale. She is an ancient and she has a wizard riding her back. I won't give too much away for spoilers because it is part of one of the modules, but I have went against her in a game before and was the sole survivor of that session. So use caution if you come across her. It was this close to being a TPK, but I like blinked and like misty stepped and did a bunch of fuckery to get the fuck out of there.
You're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I left everyone to die and was like, see you guys. So keep that in mind if you're in Icewind Dale and you see an ancient dragon. She's tough. And while all dragons are inherently magic, if you look at the spell list in Fizbins, it's only like 2 spells. And I think that this really kind of fits with them. They are more primal than they are intelligent. And while I can see other dragons seeking out magic to learn, I feel like these will almost accidentally cast theirs. Like they won't really know. It'll be more of a regional sort of effect just coming out of them as part of the magic that comes from within them. I don't like almost wild magic-y. Like they won't really understand how they're casting these things. It will just happen is how I would do that. So that is that's sort of our base lore magic information we have for white dragons.
Would you look at that?
Would you look at that? They're basic, but they're fun.
Basic bitches.
They're your pumpkin spice latte of dragons.
I was going to say, this is a white girl dragon for
they
sure.
have their place.
All right, well, let's get into the stat breakdowns then. I guess we might as well start jumping in there. So I'm going to kick us off with chatting about the Wyrmlings and the young dragons, because as anybody knows, in these books, you get a breakdown for each different age and level of dragon. So starting with the Wyrmlings themselves, well, actually, let's talk about eggs for a hot second. So the theory around eggs for white dragons is that they do mate for pleasure, is the thought with white dragons. So when they do get pregnant and have eggs incubating in their tum-tum, they will actually stay together to protect each other so that when their clutch is hatched, it actually survives. And then they bury them in the snow to be incubated.
Cute.
I know, it's quite nice.
And then they kick them out.
Literally, they just kick them out. So getting into the Wyrmlings, as soon as they are born, white dragons head off on their own. Is like as soon as they are hatched, they're just like, peace out. Like there's no coddling, there's no taking care of. It's time to survive, bitch. Boot you out of the nest. So
I buried you in the snow. I did my job. It's your turn.
Yeah, I did my job. You're fine.
Bye.
So because of this, they are survivalists due to the cold weathered conditions of their birthplace. So they survive by hunting, scavenging, and basically running away from anything they think is actually going to kill them. So they are smart in terms of like staying alive. They're not going to fight something that's larger than them, so on and so forth. Stats wise, they are only a CR2. This gives them an AC of 16, so kind of averagely able to hit, but it is what it is. They have a speed of 30, a burrow of 15, a fly of 60, and a swim of 30. So they have all of the things. And if you think about it, living in the wild and the wilderness would definitely give that to you. Like you can bury in the snow, you fly around, you might swim through the lakes that exist there, like underground lakes, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, burrow and swim definitely make sense for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They also have, of course, they're skilled in perception with +4, stealth with +2. They have an immunity to the cold, obviously, and then further senses, they have blind sight and dark vision. But it's only 10 feet of blind sight and 60 feet of dark vision to start. For traits, and at this age, they can only speak Draconic. So this is just, I am a dragon, rawr. So... For traits, they have Ice Walk. So basically what this means is the dragon can walk across or climb any icy surface without needing to make any kind of an ability check. And basically difficult terrain composed basically of ice or snow or anything from the cold doesn't cost it extra movement. So all of those movement speeds that it has are basically freedom of movement if they are within their frozen realm.
Yeah, that's interesting. That kind of gives them a climb speed without giving them a climb speed.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So where it is written, it is kind of weird that it's weird.
Yeah. They can climb, but only if it's icy. If it's rock, they can't do it.
And it's your regular speed.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks. I might just fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that might be why they only left out climb as something to specify that they out of their list. Because it's like, regular speed, burrow, fly, swim, and then obviously climb.
Yeah.
Doesn't
But
even need to.
also, if they can't climb on rock, they can just use like their ice breath and make it icy, so then they could climb on it.
That would be pretty epic, especially
Yeah.
if that was a strategy for like ambushing it or something.
Yeah,
It's
like
like,
let's get it in this rocky cave where it can't climb or get away from us.
It's like, well, shit.
Oh.
Oh Lord. All right, well, to finish that off, for attacks, they do have a multi-attack with 2 of their rend attacks, which is just a multi-attack of +4 to hit, and is going to be slashing damage at 1d4. At 1d8 plus 2 for slashing damage, and then 1d4 of cold damage. So not that bad, but again, they get the multi-attack, and then of course, being a white dragon, they have a cold breath attack, which at this age recharges on a 5 or a 6. It's a con save of at least a DC 12, or take a 5d8 of cold damage within a 15-foot cone.
Yeah.
So very simple. Not too much. Very thematic, you know.
I will say I think this is the only dragon I've seen or noticed looking at their stats that have any sort of negative modifier with their intelligence score.
Yep, they have a -3 intelligence. I think it's because they threw everything they have into their survival skills.
Yeah, like
they don't learn to socialize until later. Like,
yeah. Like normally they at least get a base of 0 on everything. Like
because like even their charisma is at 0. So in my brain, I think it's the way I describe it is it's the seclusion that you're a survivalist and you're not really paying attention to how to interact with the world around you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, on to young dragons. So as they grow up, as they get to become young dragons, they will hunker down and start defending their own homes against prey. So they will find their own little place to exist. In the white dragon's case, communities and people may actually start giving offerings and boons to the dragon at this point in time as means to appease it, so not to attack their villages and XYZ. So this is when they, of course, as young dragons, they will start gathering either a following or be feared enough that they will be appeased by those that are around it. But what I found interesting about this one is it's right away people will bring offerings to it. It doesn't need to prove its strength, which is what comes with a lot of dragons in terms of when they're younger. They sometimes have to prove their strength or that they're scary before people will fear it or what have you. This one it kind of reads as right away in this place, they are feared and or respected. Yeah.
Like the people already know, like white dragons are there. You don't mess with them. You want to make them as happy as possible, as early as possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So with them, they jump up to a CR of 6. AC goes up to 17. Their speed goes up to 40. Their burrow goes up to 20. Their fly goes up to 80, and their swim goes up to 40. So you see a boost in all of their travel stats. Their negative modifier of intelligence stays at -2, but they do gain a +2 of intelligence when it comes to saves as opposed to its mod. But now you're seeing all of them be in the positive. So that's a solid change. Their perception skill goes up to +6, and their stealth goes up to a +3. And then their blind sight also increases to 30, and their dark vision increases to 120. And at this age, they start to understand common and draconic. So we'll be able to communicate with those around it. So that's that. They remain with their Ice Walk ability. Obviously, it transfers over. But as for attacks, their multi-attack goes up to 3 rend attacks, which is going to now be a +7 to hit. It ups to a 10-foot reach instead of your basic 5-foot reach. And is it going to be 2d4 plus 4 slashing damage plus 1d4 cold damage. So again, now you can do it 3 times and you have a 10-foot reach, which is a little bit more deadly. And then, of course, their cold breath attack does get an increase. The Constitution saving throw increases to a DC 15, and then it increases to a 30-foot cone. And then this is 9d8 cold damage on a failure, and half damage if you succeed. So increases all around into a young dragon. So obviously understood why she is feared.
Yeah.
I recently did I kicked off a one-shot that became a full campaign with my family, but they were rescuing some creatures that had gone into a frozen cave and never returned. And it was inhabited by a white dragon Wyrmling because they were low level. So I wanted to introduce the fear and the chaos and cruelty of a white dragon. And it was basically, trying to collect every type of creature in like a frozen ice sculpture. And so it had taken one of the village's friends to add to its collection. And I must say, my family was absolutely terrified of it. And I was like, I feel like I delivered on the Wyrmling expectations. And so much more to come if it ever, sticks around to be ancient. But anyway, moving on to the adult white dragon. So not surprisingly, we do see in stats a small bump in the AC from 17 to 18. But we do see almost double the hit point average from 123 to 200. With the white dragon, as an adult, it can burrow now at a speed of 30 feet, which is up from 20 feet, but everything else stays the same. And, we're going to see the theme, like every ability score increases except for Dex and Charisma, which also means like all the modifiers go up, as you would expect. And their blind sight doubles from 30 feet to 60 feet. So we are at a CR of 13, up from CR 6 with the young white dragon. For the cold breath weapon, it now has a DC of 19, and that's up from 15. And the range doubles from 30 to 60 feet for that cone. And damage is also way more. You're looking at 12 D8 cold damage, up from 9 D8, for an average of 50 points of damage on a hit. As we've seen as a pattern with other adult dragons, this is when we see legendary resistances and legendary actions, of which it has 3. This is where it gets way more interesting, and as a DM, way more complicated, because now you can do way more stuff on not just on your turn, and it gets wild. And also invokes more fear in your players. So for legendary actions, its more unique action is Freezing Burst, where creatures within a 30-foot radius sphere, dropped anywhere the dragon can see within 120 feet, must make a DC 14 con save or take cold damage and essentially be frozen in place. Your speed is 0 until the end of the target's next turn. I like the visual on that one. Just seeing this like ball of, ice flying down and landing on top of you. And when you roll poorly, which you probably will, you essentially take a whole bunch of cold damage and you're frozen there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the dragon can also use Frightful Presence to cast fear, or an ability called, or an action called Pounce, which is what it sounds like. The dragon moves up to half its speed, and then it makes one rend attack. So pounce and slash, basically. So a lot more devastating but unique abilities in the adult white dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And as we move on to the ancient white dragon, we just see now all of that increase. So we have an AC of 20 now, and over 300 hit point average, and yet another 10 feet added to that burrow speed, making it 40 feet. I feel like they're hinting at like, you gotta use that burrow. I don't know, like no matter what, whether.
Yeah, like they really want you to use the burrow.
Yeah. It's like they gave you the fly speed, the swim speed, and the normal speed. And now it's like, okay, you're bigger, you're better. Burrow further, burrow even further.
Do a little bit more.
Do it. Make a tunnel.
Keep going.
And yet again, every ability score increases except for Dex this time. And we finally get an intelligence score of 10, which means every single modifier and ability score is a +0 or above. All right. So here we also see, and just to make it, to highlight how high these scores are with the ancient white dragon, strength and con have always been basically the highest score, but here they are now now 26, which is a +8 modifier on and save. So we're talking like they're going to succeed on so many of these things, and their hits and everything are going to be just intense. So we are at a CR of 20 at the top of the ancient white dragon age. It gets 1 additional legendary resistance per day. And its cold breath weapon now has a DC of 22 instead of 19. And the cone increases to 90 feet from 60 feet. On a fail, a creature will take 14 d8 cold damage, which is up from 12 d8, for an average of 63 points of damage on a hit. And it does have the same legendary actions as the adult dragon, just the DC and damage overall increases. And that's what we have for the ancient white dragon stat block. I can't imagine Peps fighting this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were like maybe level 5. Like it was stupid.
Seems like a terrible time for
It was on stream too, so like people saw it.
Yeah, and the art in the book also, I think, does a great job of depicting the size ratio as it gets larger and larger. Like the ancient white dragon is like just gargantuan over top of a giant ship in the sea, and it's just freezing the entire ship like nobody's business. So I do enjoy that as well. So there's even more detail that you can get into with white dragons. We can move into not only the ability stats, but then on top of that, layers and layer actions. So true to their habitat, adult and ancient white dragon layers are carved into stone and ice, and it truly is a place for them to isolate alone. Think abandoned mountain strongholds or remote Arctic ridges or caverns deep underneath glaciers and the snow. It would be perfect for a white dragon lair. In fact, their love of the sound of the frigid wind gusting down long stone tunnels means they will burrow even further and further in to have that sound moving through their lair. Streams will be frozen over, icicles galore. It will be a treacherous slog to try and not only get there, but get into where you're trying to find the dragon itself or even find its hoard. So while in their lair, they get 1 additional legendary resistance and action, which brings it up as an ancient white dragon 5 per day for the legendary resistance and 4 legendary actions. That can do a lot of damage and really, extend the rounds in combat, but then ultimately shorten the battle. Because
if it could just choose not, because it's not going to fail often. It has a +8 to strength and a +8 to con. So it's not failing often. And when it does, it can choose not to 5 times.
Yes.
You're not hitting it at all.
No.
It will kill you within 5 rounds.
Murdered.
It will.
Yeah.
Yes. So Fizbins offers 2 additional layer actions for the white dragon, which include blinding sleet that falls in a 40-foot high by 20-foot radius cylinder within 120 feet of a point the dragon can see. Creatures who fail a con save in this space are blinded. Next is whirling wind. A strong wind in a 30-foot radius sphere centered on the dragon lasts until the next time the dragon uses a layer action or dies. And then you are supposed to use the strong wind description in the DMG. I believe this ends up just giving a slight disability. I think the descriptor and the way you present this one would make it much more interesting than how it's written in the book. Because it's a strong wind swirling around the dragon. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I do like the one where it blinds them with a con save. That is fucking all of your spellcasters, because the only ones that are succeeding on a con save at this point are your barbarians and your fighters and your tanks.
Yeah.
But your spellcasters do not have a high con at all.
Yeah.
And also, if it blinds them, the majority of spells are a creature you can see.
That is
So
very
you can't
true.
even like take a wild swing and hope that you hit it at, like, you know, a fighter could. If a fighter is standing in front of an ancient dragon and they're swinging, like, they're probably gonna still hit it because it's giant.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, like your wizard can't just blindly like, yeah, I'm gonna cast this spell because they need to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's very true. And the dragon can drop this anywhere within 120 feet it can see. So your more squishy wizards and spellcasters that are staying way back are like never going to be back far enough to be out of this layer action ability. Yeah, wild. And so not only are there layer actions, then by the time you are in combat with the adult dragon, you have experienced the layer effects. So their layer itself affects the region in two ways. The area within 1 mile is extreme cold, and any water is frigid cold. This impacts your ability checks as you move through this area, and potentially also impacts any creatures who have like resistances or immunities to cold. Yeah, those are pretty much going to not really help you anymore. And second, the area within 1 mile is slightly obscured by a chilly fog. Now, that doesn't seem like, whatever, you're walking through a fog.
Yeah.
Except
it's already probably blizzarding, so
yes, and you are traveling through this likely for at least a day, if not longer. And if you finish a long rest in the fog, you then must make a DC 15 con save, or your speed is reduced by 10 feet for an hour. So it's basically like you woke up and you're partially frozen. It's like, Jesus. And now you're going to be walking slower for the first hour of your day. And that also means if you encounter anything in that time, like if you have a speed of 30 feet, you're now doing 20 feet trying to like do a random encounter. Yeah. So
which you're also probably on ice, which is like difficult terrain. So your speed's already probably cut in half. So that is now 10 feet that you can actually move at a time.
Yeah.
Right? Like relentless.
Yeah.
And then Fizbin's then also offers additional regional effects that you might want to consider for a White Dragon's Lair. This includes biting chill, which is similar to frigid cold, but the affected area is 6 miles from the lair. So this is basically like days and days of your travel towards this, unless you find some magical means to get there. So yeah, you'll need to start rolling strength and dex checks to keep from having disadvantages. Another one is called mirror ice. And this is where icy surfaces in the dragon's lair can cause confusion for direction and make it much harder for creatures to hide, which I think is a very clever strategy for a really low intelligence dragon. Like, again, I love what you said, Peps, about like, it's just creating something that it really likes. And by instinct, making the ice perfectly sheen and shiny so that it's like a mirror, not realizing it is making it like perilous for other creatures. And it's just like,
Yeah.
So true to any lair effect, if the dragon dies or moves its lair, the effects end immediately. Now we have discussed hoards and treasures already earlier with Peps. And one interesting thing about white dragons is, they want to like gather things from all of their foes that they have defeated, whether it's valuable or not valuable. But the preference towards things that are sparkly and ice are so much so that even if they find treasures and trophies that are like yellow or something that's like not the same as what they prefer, they will keep it, but they will bury it further down so that it's not visible. So it's like it finds like this bright yellow gold trophy that's probably worth like so much money, and they're like, Well, it doesn't really go with my design and
Correct.
Yeah.
My
Colors.
decor.
Yeah. But it is still good, so
yeah. So
I get that. Like I do that with my minis. I have ones that are on display and I have ones that are in boxes and like in drawers.
yeah,
I might need it for a game one day, but it's not display worthy.
right? Yeah, it's like this is messing with my like feng shui here.
Mhm. I get it.
Just find that so hilarious. Yes, and remember that white dragons are a creature of cruelty. So the large amount of their treasure is the trophies, and it's the bigger the better. So they are like, make my hoard bigger than your hoard. Ha ha ha. Like they will go stop at nothing to get bigger and better shit from anything that they destroy. And they want to know for sure that they have the biggest hoard, so they will never stop. It's quantity over quality, and then preference for icy looking things.
Yeah, amazing.
And then for minions, as we kind of have alluded to, they are going to be isolated. They're going to kind of be out on their own. They have been cast out since they were wyrmlings, so they don't really have that social connection. So they really don't like anyone, and they won't really ally with many creatures unless they are forced to by a more dominant creature. It may have like followers that are simply seeking to worship a very powerful being, but like I can kind of relate where it's like, I just want to be on my own, have my own space and have my things. Like,
Yeah. I do feel like all dragons are going to have a cult attached to it.
whether they like it or not.
Whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
So like they might not even know they have a cult. Nor
That is
care.
very
Like it's
true.
just a cult like over to the side that has like one person saw it and created a cult around it and the dragon doesn't even know.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are interesting. They got a lot going for it. Yeah, I think we are inspired.
All right, well, let's talk about their layers because I mean, one of the more unique things about dragons is that they do have layers, and all of them are unique. So looking into what makes theirs more unique than others or different than others, like we said, like they do sort of encourage that burrowing speed. And as Casey, you were reading about the description of their layers, I really like that really connects with the burrow speed increase as they get older because they want to dig further and further and further down. So like that definitely, like getting into their lair would be so hard, but in a completely different aspect than other dragons. I feel like other dragons would put traps and stuff. And like puzzles, and you'd have to figure things out, and it would be more like fun for the dragon to watch you sort of figure that out. Where these, I feel like, just do it purely instinctually. It would be difficult for others to get in, and they wouldn't even necessarily consider that because it's just like easy for them. Like they can burrow, so why not, right? They can swim, so why not have a frozen lake, underneath that they put their hoard in, right? Like you have to go through this frozen lake to get to their treasure room sort of thing.
But also like because you're in a frozen tundra, any kind of opening or cave that is attached to this, folks would use accidentally or like as just a place of shelter, right?
Yeah.
So the possibility of running into its followers or its kobolds or what have you is actually pretty high.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of places to hide, and this dragon basically built caverns that you could stay in, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you could definitely just sort of find one, like an opening to it as a place to rest for the night. And that's where you sort of get screwed by that glacial gloom, where if you're within a mile and you wake up in that fog, it slows you down. Like you don't even know you're there. You don't even know that this is a layer that you are sleeping in.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
I kind of want to touch base on like their mannerisms and like how they act as they age. Because something we need to remember is we're starting to talk about these ancient versions of these dragons being like, in my brain, a nice divorcee sitting with all their stuff comfortably and happy. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
but we have to remember that they started off as survivalists, being kicked out of their nests on their own, by themselves, developing their strong, independent self. And then it's almost like when they actually have their cavern and their followers and like everything's comfortable, it's like suddenly they can relax, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So conversing with one of these would be very interesting because you would have that background of conversing in terms of how hard it was to get here. It'd almost be like, I feel like if the dragon saw someone else survive the tundra, they would have an interest in speaking to that person, being like, you should not be alive based on where you are right now. How did you survive? And they'd be very interested in other people's survival tactics because they're not built for this weather. So how are you alive?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing that I would want to play into as a DM is depending on what age you meet this dragon, they're going to have a different attitude towards you. Because at the young age, they're just going to eat you or run away.
Mhm.
But as an adult, they're mostly going to be like, but how? Tell me how.
Yeah, because they aren't like interested in learning about like civilizations or knowledge or spells or magic or anything like that. But they would be interested in learning how to survive better.
Yeah. And they are, I think, the most literal hoarders because it's like, yeah, they're not looking for powerful magical things or highly valued things. It's just things. And so it's just like, look at my stuff. I'm keeping all of it. None of it's going to get thrown away.
Yeah.
And no one can take anything from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, and like when we talk about their followers too, like their followers, it will not be interested in having any protect its hoard because I think it will be too possessive about it. It will be like, no, this is mine and mine alone. Like it might not even understand the term follower. Like for example, if you do interact with it and say like, do you know that you have like a community of cultists that's like down at the bottom of the mountain? And it will be like, I don't know what that means. Why on earth would they do that?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't equate because they it doesn't occur to them strategically to have any sort of other being around to do anything with. Maybe the only way that would kind of evolve is if they found themselves dominated by a more powerful being that they encountered or came into their lair, and then they are forced to be like, oh shit, I'm not the most powerful. So then maybe they would be more social and be like, oh, you care about me still? Cool. But it would be a big shift compared to lots of other dragons we've talked about or will talk about in this season.
Yeah. Now, you did say one thing about like not having many things like protecting their hoard, which sort of sparked an idea. I do agree with that, but there is one, I think we've talked about it in a past episode. I'm not sure if either of you were on it, but there is like a bone golem dragon where dragons make like protectors of their hoard out of bones of other things.
Yeah.
I could see that with this dragon because it collects bones and like maybe the like yellowed ones that it doesn't really like as much they create into a golem. Like, well, I could still use you for something, you know, like they're gonna be as a hunter, like there is a saying, you use every part, you know? So like, even if it's not shiny enough for their hoard, as a survivalist, they still see the use in using these pieces. So I could see them like stringing it together to make a golem out of it to protect when they're not there. But like that is sort of the only thing I sort of see them doing is like stringing together these bones to create a thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That could be like created maybe out of boredom in the end. Like if they have been living with their hoard for like 75 years and they haven't had no one encounter them. It's like, maybe I should go for like a walk, a fly. but no,
gonna catch my breath.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, maybe I could like tinker and make something to protect my hoard while I get some fresh air.
Could you imagine them building like because using their breath weapon, creating like blocks of ice, and then just doing like cute little ice sculptures of either really scary things to scare people away, or when you get inside, they're like beautiful, like I don't know, like Greek god statues and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's just boring. I just threw that together, you know? Like
All right, here's my question. Who wins, a white dragon or Elsa?
I mean, it would be a white dragon for sure.
Yeah.
Like she would just get eaten and that would be the end of it. Like, because I love Elsa, but she can't eat a dragon. A dragon can eat Elsa.
And I would say she would end up being the one that rides the ancient white dragon.
There you go.
I could see that. I like that crossover.
That's it. We're doing an Elsa. What is it? Frozen is the actual name of the
Frozen.
Disney film name. A D&D Frozen crossowe. I'm sure somebody's written it somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have Adam do it with our princess game.
There you go. Perfect.
We all get dragons.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Any other inspirations either of you want to talk about before we sort of finish this off?
Yeah, and we're talking about kind of the boredom thing too. I feel like the like refining its layer to make it more pleasant and with the right coloring and everything. The not only sculptures out of ice but like mirrors everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like that idea because it takes the mental game into play as well as the physical challenge of getting through the icy terrain and the extreme cold. Then suddenly you're having to try and roll to make sure you're on the same track. And so like I would even go as far as adding survival is at disadvantage because you're so cold, you're not thinking clearly, but then you're staring at what should be just one path, but then there's 3 or 4 because of like the mirroring and the ice everywhere. And so then your like elf ranger tracker is like so far out of their element. They're like, I can't figure this out. I'm like, I can't, guys. And so you're rolling with disadvantage, even just to try find your way through a single tunnel, but it's not a single tunnel because there's everything else going on, which is hilarious because you might go in thinking white dragons are just cruel. They can't, like, you might have gathered information about lore that they can't cast spells. They just are instinctual. They just want to be alone. It should be a straight path in. We just got to get there and we're done. Mm-hmm. But no.
Yeah. I also just like the reminder that they're scary as fuck. And like we encountered a white dragon in my most recent campaign, but it was disguised as like a mound in the snow. Like we were traveling across like a clearing tundra and there was just like a giant like hill of snow that was just there. And it was a sleeping white dragon that was just underneath this mound of snow. Yeah. And so we could hear it snoring underneath it. And of course we had a chaotic dumb character that just walked up and said, "Hello." And 100% the DM was just like, I was gonna let that thing eat all of you because of that moment.
But that's what would have happened.
but played it to its thing in terms of just like, you bore me. Like I could kill you, but the tundra's gonna do that for me, so I'm just gonna fly away. Like but it is a reminder that yes, like we always give things like a cutesy little background and like give them a feel good feeling, but they will kill you. Like
they will kill you. They will. There's not like other dragons you can talk to. You can go and sort of like maybe reason with it or make a deal with it. If you don't have food to offer this one, they're just gonna eat you instead. Like that's that's that. They don't care what like plot you have or what you're looking for, what you need their help with. Like they don't care at all. If they're not being fed, they don't care.
And even if they decide they aren't hungry and don't want to eat you, they'll just like ice breath you so that you are forever frozen where you are. Like, and they'll just fly away and leave you.
Like, you kind of look like a good snack for later. I'm just gonna pause you right here. They're like squirrels that bury their food. They just like have frozen things all over the tundra that they can come back to.
Yeah.
But also might forget it's there.
Oh man.
I like it. All right. So the most important question before we end this, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fuckable are white dragons?
A critical assessment.
Yeah.
I mean, smash for sure. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
there's no question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it a 5. Only because it's very cold.
You're not into the ice play?
No. I've been there, done that, not my vibe.
Fair enough.
Just not for me.
I was gonna go with like a 7 because these give off like primal dom vibes. Like this.
We'll take care of you.
They're gonna growl in your ear. They're gonna throw you around a little. You're gonna leave with bite marks. And it's gonna be a good time.
True. I'm going to meet you both in the middle at a 6 because I don't think they'll respect the safe word.
Oh no, they won't.
That's fair. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
When you get to that level of fear, and it may not stop, which is a thrill in itself, but also
Banana did not work this time. Oh Lord.
Well, thank you for listening to It's a Mimic and supporting us here as we talk chaos and always throw in some smut. I hope you enjoyed and were inspired. God damn it, the banana. Of course, the banana's the safe word.
Banana.
But yeah, continue listening to more episodes in this series and others. And thank you for listening again.
That's all for this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help push our engagement. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
This week on the It's a Mimic Patreon, patrons of Silver Adult Tier and higher are going to be able to listen to the next episode in our series on the Greyhawk Pantheon, where we're going to go with the big, broad picture of fate and destiny. So, now that we're done another dragon episode, let's talk about traps, because every good dragon has multiple layers, and every good layer has multiple traps. Remember that good traps support the suspension of disbelief, which means they have to make sense, and they have to work within the boundaries of established logic of your campaign. For unique traps, I tend to look to the 2001 publication from Fantasy Flight Games, called Traps and Treachery. It was designed with 3.5 in mind, but we know that just means that the numbers are high and the details are crunchy, and I feel like most dragons would appreciate that. For this episode, I've decided to look at a trap called Blood of the Wild. So the way that this works is that we'll be in a lair, obviously, some sort of underground tunnels or somewhere where it's enclosed. You're heading down a hallway, usually like carved out of stone or clay or ice. This would be great for kobolds that are protecting a dragon's lair to have set up, because this is a very kobold flavored trap. Although, it's also something I think a white dragon would do as well, because it's all about the hunt. The idea here is that there's going to be some sort of pressure plate that the players are going to step on, and that's going to trigger the first part of the trap. That is going to be some sort of spray mechanic, some sort of maybe bladder or some sort of sack that squeezes and covers all of the characters in wild pig's blood. Now, maybe you dump it from the ceiling, Carrie style. Maybe you drop them into a pit full of it, like in The Descent. Whatever your flavor is, you cover the players in pig's blood. There's going to be a dex save so that they don't necessarily get hit with it, but it should be relatively high. I mean, this is a dragon's lair we're talking about, right? So that's part one. A second later, there will be some sort of cage door that they didn't see ahead of time, but maybe the wall starts to move, or there's a sound of rumbling from around the corner as the cage door opens and a starving pack of wild wolves is released, drawn into a frenzy because of the scent of the pig's blood. So anybody that got it on them is going to be attacked by these wolves. Now, it's a white dragon. We can make it winter wolves if we wanted. We can go with dire wolves, or we can just do big, scary, regular wolves. So whatever it is, release the pack at an appropriate CR level and have them focus in only on those that are covered in pig's blood. My favorite thing about this is there will be a mechanical factor now for a defensive mentality when it comes to prestidigitation, because with prestidigitation, you can clean yourself and your clothes immediately, but not everyone is going to have it. So it might take a couple of rounds. When the wolves are free, you roll initiative, and here they come into a combat. So this is a monster type, a creature type of trap that I think is really thematic and on brand for white dragons specifically. But like I said before, kobolds or really any minions of a dragon might put this kind of thing together. Of course, if no one gets hit by the pig's blood, then the wolves might run past the players, investigate the spray on the wall, and then only when they're attacked would they turn on the players, or when they discover that there's no real food there, they'd start hunting around, and it would become a less intense battle. So I might give them some sort of frenzy, so that they have, I don't know, maybe the rampage mechanic, or a reckless mechanic or something, where they are going to get advantage on their attacks, but they're also going to be providing advantage on attacks against them as well, because they're not thinking about safety. So this is just another great trap. And again, it's called Blood of the Wild. And I think that just, it feels good for this, doesn't it? So now that we've set another trap for our players, I gotta ask you, what monster or minion do you think would pair nicely with these wolves in order to give this an extra set of teeth to make it really thematic for a white dragon? If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, including a variety of bonus episodes covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.